Story 1. I've always found comfort in late-night walks. The quiet stillness just makes the world feel simpler somehow. I work as a welder, have been for over 40 years now. I live alone on a big stretch of farmland with my only real company being Bosley, my loyal dog. The house is way too big for just one person, but after my wife, Maria, passed, I couldn't bring myself to downsize. My kids moved out ages ago, and since cancer took her, it's just been me and Bosley. One evening, after a long day in the workshop, I decided to go for one of those walks. My property is large enough that a single loop is usually enough to settle my mind. The night was cool, and Bosley trotted along beside me, his nose to the ground. As we were nearing the house again, something caught my eye. I looked up to the second-story window, the one that faces out from the bedroom Maria and I used to share. And, for a split second, I thought I saw something move. I stopped in my tracks, staring up at the window. There was absolutely no reason anyone should be up there. I haven't set foot in that room in years, it's just too painful. But the thought of some stranger breaking into my house sent a surge of anger through me. I rushed inside, heart pounding, and hurried up the stairs. The room was exactly as I left it, empty, untouched. I searched every corner but found nothing. Still, I couldn't shake that strange, unsettling feeling, even after I'd gone back downstairs. It felt like something had been there, watching me. Story 2. The next night, Bosley woke me up with a low, menacing growl. He's a well-trained dog, doesn't bark unless there's good reason. I sat up in bed, straining to listen. That's when I heard it, faint creaking sounds from upstairs. Maybe it was just the old house settling, I told myself, but the noise was so deliberate. It was coming from directly above me, right where Maria's old bedroom was. Part of me wanted to grab my hunting rifle from downstairs, but I didn't want to take things that far. I knew I could handle it if it came down to it, so I picked up my flashlight and went to check things out. But again, nothing. The room was exactly the same, untouched. Frustration was beginning to mix with a creeping sense of dread. Whatever this was, it didn't feel right. The following night, I found the kitchen lights on when I came downstairs. I knew for a fact that I'd turned them off before going to bed. At this point, there was no doubt in my mind, someone was in my house. I called the police, explaining that someone might be sneaking around. They arrived promptly, did a full sweep of the house, and found nothing. They were polite about it, telling me to call again if anything else happened, but I could tell they didn't believe me. Story 3. Then came the night I'll never forget. I couldn't sleep, so I finally decided to go upstairs and check that bedroom one last time. But when I opened the door, my heart dropped. Scattered across the floor were clothes, Maria's clothes. I had packed them away right after she passed, and now, here they were, laid out everywhere. And then I saw her. A woman was standing just inside the doorway, staring at me. I couldn't make out her face clearly, but I knew it wasn't Maria. She was too short. I didn't know who this woman was, but she definitely didn't belong in my house. Fear twisted in my stomach, but instinct took over, and I charged at her. She turned and bolted down the stairs and out the front door. By the time I reached the front porch, she was already gone. I searched the property with Bosley, but there wasn't a single trace of her. I didn't sleep at all that night, and for the next few months, I was on edge. Every creak, every distant noise made my heart race. I started keeping my rifle next to my bed, ready for whatever might come. But the nightmare wasn't over. One night, as I sat alone in the living room, I glanced out the window. Standing in the yard, barely visible in the moonlight, was the figure of that woman, just staring at the house. Bosley barked like crazy, but by the time I opened the door, she disappeared into the shadows once again.